Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who had the same amount of catches that Dalton Kincaid had in the final 2 minutes. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing very good. Another fun night of football, another fantastic game, an absolute classic here going down to the wire, and we couldn't have asked for anything more. It was a fantastic night. Bills fans,
We could have asked for a little bit more. We could have asked. I think there's a little bit more that a lot of us could have asked for, Kyle. Let's not bury the lead. This is I don't know. The folding tables are at half mast here on this show.
Yeah, I think the Bills fans did ask for a little bit more, but they gave it their all. Another close game, couldn't come down to the wire.
Yeah, Zachary Stewart with a super chat before the show even started. Another tough night for Phillip Rivers. Is Rivers Josh Allen? That's who Phillip Rivers is.
I guess so. I don't know. He played well. I don't know, man. I know he had a couple fumbles and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. This game's definitely not on Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I saw someone saying, "Oh, I wonder why Josh Allen's not getting the Lamar Jackson treatment." It's like, well, he didn't turn the ball over for one. Although it wasn't for lack of trying. I mean, Kyle, I kind of feel like this was the Bills' shot. I really we'll see. They were right here, but they fumbled the ball 3 times, recovered all the fumbles. Josh Allen on the same drive threw it to Chiefs defenders twice. They didn't get the interception there. They had a lot of opportunities, and they really struggled at points, I think, early on. We'll start with this game, obviously. I mean, this is, the other game, plenty to talk about, but maybe not quite as exciting of a finish. There was just the mistakes early on. Josh Allen throwing it directly to the other team a couple times early on. There was a fumbled snap that meant they couldn't try to get a touchdown on the second possession. They ended up having to settle for a field goal. Their inability to convert on the tush push many times in this game ended up being kind of the dagger. I mean, if they can convert those 4th and 1s, I mean, they probably run away with this one. A lot of itch, and we'll talk about if they did convert on one of the 4th down and 1s when we get there. But I mean, listen, I think Allen played very well. I think James Cook played very well. I think this offense played very well. But there also were mistakes that were made by the Bills that I think is the first thing you have to look at.
Yeah, and it just comes down to the same thing. I feel like we're just regurgitating the same thing every year. It's like the Chiefs aren't going to give you 2 or 3 mistakes, and unfortunately,
they gave you a lot of this game. They gave you plenty. I thought.
Yeah,
I mean,
they had an opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. This was their shot.
Yeah, I felt like I said all year, this felt like an 2006 Colts situation. And, I don't know if all of our listeners, I don't know what the YouTube demos is, but 2006 is a long time ago now. It's hard to believe it is 19 years ago, and for the entire 2006 season, it felt like this was the Colts' chance to win it, or it was never going to happen, right? The Patriots had owned them through the early parts of the 2000. The Patriots had won several Super Bowls. Obviously, being a Patriots fan, I remember that very fondly. But, it was very much of will the Colts ever do this? Will Peyton Manning ever do this? And Peyton Manning had several bad playoff performances leading up to that point. Then the Colts did it. They won that game. They had this huge comeback to win in 2006 and did everything they had to do. They went and won that Super Bowl against the Bears. The 2006 AFC Championship was very much the definition of the Super Bowl for that season. That was the best 2 teams that season. Yeah. But anyway, so the Colts won the championship that year, and then all of a sudden everything changes. It's like Manning's in this different stratosphere. It's like he finally beat the Patriots, all that kind of stuff. It felt like for the Ravens and Bills, this was the year that was going to happen. And it still doesn't happen. They get the ball back with just over 3 minutes left, down 3 points with a chance to go and win this game. And that was the end. That ended up being the nail in the coffin. They can't convert the 4th down. Obviously, the Dalton Kincaid not catch. He had a chance to catch that ball. It was actually a really good throw by Allen, given the circumstances. He was under a lot of pressure. I didn't love the play call because I don't understand. They had multiple 4th down plays where Khalil Shakir in the backfield. I just don't understand why you put your best receiver in the backfield in those situations. But even with all that, they still had a chance to make the play. Kincaid was open and had a chance to make the catch, didn't catch it. And that was the difference.
Yeah. A super chat from Fire Aaron Glenn that says Fire Aaron Glenn. Okay, starting early on the. He hasn't even. What's wrong with Aaron Glenn? He seems like a good hire. Anyway, not to get
Ready. Look at this. Season that started.
yeah, not even giving him a chance. That'd be a quick hook on the firing. Then we have another super chat. Getting off the rails already. It would be the big spoon, Hurts or Mahomes. I think Hurts.
You think so?
Yeah.
Hurts definitely feels like more of a. I mean, after seeing that Mahomes spike attempt, I think everybody would be the big spoon on Mahomes. What the hell was that? What in the world was that? Was a bad spike.
Yeah, and how like you're a quarterback? Like if a running back does it, okay, sure. Like how does like the one Bills fans have to be saying, oh, the one time it slips out of your hands is on a spike? Great.
That was so bad.
Yeah. Okay, you brought up the fourth down play. Let's go there. The Bills, like you said, they get the ball. This is first play after the 2-minute warning now. They're down 3 points. If they can convert and get a first down, they probably win the game or at least get to overtime. Allen throws it to Kincaid, who was right around where the marker said they need to get in field goal range. Now, we know how that can go for Buffalo, just saying. But Dalton Kincaid, it would have been a tough catch. You have to adjust on the fly. He had to dive. You got to make that catch. And it's just like, it's these things year after year with the Chiefs where it just feels like there's always this one play in one game, but it's the same thing with the Patriots. And I guess the flip side is, well, in close games, there's going to be a play that goes your way. But it just felt like, again, it felt like this was the Bills' opportunity. I don't know. They could get another one, but like, it's hard to imagine them getting too many better shots than this one.
I mean, it really does. Like this Chiefs team, the last 2 years has felt so beatable, but at the same time, they've felt so beatable these last 2 years, but they come out on top in every one of these situations. And it's easy to say they're coached better, they execute better, all that kind of stuff. But like, I mean, Dalton Kincaid has made a catch like that probably every day in his life for the last 15 years. He's an elite tight end. He's very good. Like that's a catch he's probably made several times in his career, even if it wasn't the best throw, all that kind of stuff. So all this stuff about like the Chiefs just execute better, that's a play that he's probably just used to making and he doesn't make in this situation. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird situation because we keep saying it's like, oh, it's 1 or 2 plays that are the difference. And I mean, this is legitimately like probably the best rivalry in American sports right now, right? Like, I don't know if there's a debate on that. Like, it really does feel like it. Like, these two teams playing feels like must-watch television for the entire country. It may not be the world's best rivalry because there are great rivalries in other sports and all that kind of stuff that we don't pay attention to all the time. But even in games like this, like, yes, the Chiefs beat them every time in the playoffs. So maybe you say, oh, it's not a rivalry because the Bills don't win. But it feels like every time they play, it comes down to 1 or 2 plays. And it's heartbreaking, I think, for a Buffalo fan to watch this. And we talk about the Kincaid not catch, the Tyler Bass miss, the Travis Kelce reception with 5 seconds left, over and over again, we just talk about these situations and it feels like the Bills are right there. And yes, at the end of the day, football games aren't decided by one play or not. But you just look at those one plays over and over again. And it's like, those are the difference between this team maybe winning multiple Super Bowls, even just one Super Bowl, and having nothing like they do right now.
Yeah. Elijah does bring up a good point, which says, couldn't you say sort of the same thing about Hollywood Brown not tracking the back shoulder pass, which was true, like that 3rd and 15 that they weren't able to convert on? Because like the flip side is like the Chiefs have this reputation of they don't beat themselves and you make mistakes. The Chiefs made some like huge mistakes in this game. I mean, for one thing, they lost the turnover battle. They had a turnover. The Bills didn't. Turnover and downs don't count. Where they just messed up a handoff. It was a completely unforced error. Like I said, the Chiefs fumbled. Actually, I said 3 times. They fumbled 4. The Bills. I said they fumbled 3 times. They fumbled 4 times because there was the Josh Allen quarterback sneak as well. So they had 4 fumbles in this game that they recovered all of them. And I don't know if they actually recovered that fumble or not. It disappeared into a pile. Who knows who actually had it at first, but the Bills came out of it. I mean, you had multiple dropped interceptions. Like the Chiefs had opportunities to win by more as well. So, I mean, it's so tough. And where do you go from here? I mean, for one thing, like, okay, the Christian Benford injury hurts. This secondary has been an issue all year, and this is something that they need to address. Is they need to get better defensively. And Kyle, I'll even go here. It's tough because I mean you can't really fire a head coach after the conference championship game because you don't have that much time. But like, at what point do we just say like, okay, we need to mix this up? Because I think teams will look at the success they've had and say, well, I don't want to screw things up. We've had the success, but you have these elite quarterbacks like Josh Allen, like Joe Burrow. I think Harbaugh's. I would put him above the other two coaches with the Ravens. But like, at what point do you just pull the trigger and say, you know what, like let's get somebody else here?
But what's the solution? Like, I think McDermott coaches a very good defense, and Joe Brady coached a very good offense. Like, are you promoting Joe Brady to a head coach? Like, what exactly does that change? Because he's still running the offense, and you just have somebody else running the defense that's probably not as good as Sean McDermott. I mean, the tough thing is like this. Like, yes, I think in a nuanced sense, like, yes, you're 0-4 against Kansas City in these playoff games. 0-5, right?
No, it's 0-4. 0-4 is a tough number for Buffalo.
Yeah, 0-4 against Kansas City in these playoff games. But at the same time, like, if you just looked at this game in particular, like, what exactly did you want Sean McDermott to do differently? Like, he went for it on fourth down every time it felt like they had to. They were the aggressor in this game. They went for it. They went for those chances. They took the opportunities that were given to them and didn't execute on the last play of the game, the biggest play of the game with that Kincaid drop. They went man-to-man defense and tried to just man up these Kansas City receivers. He did everything that we've been saying. We've been bashing our heads against the wall saying, you got to go man-to-man against Kansas City. You can't let Travis Kelce beat you in zone. All this sort of thing. They bottled up Travis Kelce in this game. They went man-to-man in those situations, and it didn't work this time. So I guess the question is, like, what is, like, promoting Joe Brady to head coach change other than you have a different defensive game plan guy who's probably not as good as Sean McDermott at the end of the day? I don't know what the solution is for that, because Sean McDermott did everything he wanted to as far as adjustments in this game, and it still didn't work, which is the biggest problem at the end of the day. And yeah, I think a lot of it is personnel. Like, I hate to say it, like, I tweeted it during the game. Like, I think the fact that they made DeMar Hamlin such a storyline throughout the season, and he was just getting burnt a lot in this game. He's not a good man-to-man player. He's not a starting defensive caliber player. I think the safeties were a big problem this year for a big team that had Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde throughout the year. Those guys just aren't as good that they have back there right now. And they have those corners that struggled without that safety help that they're used to having throughout their careers. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Sean McDermott's supposed to do differently. So I guess that's the problem, is like, if you're gonna say this different, what should Bills change? What did McDermott do not good enough this season?
You're probably right, and especially because I like the quarterback spy stuff too really worked. I mean, it's crazy where it's like I feel like they did a pretty decent. Like, I feel like the Bills at times did a pretty decent job defensively. They still gave up 32 points on 9 possessions, and one of those possessions was just the Chiefs killing the clock. I mean, it's the Patrick Mahomes stuff. It's incredible. Last thought that I think we can talk about before I want to get into the Chiefs. Kyle, we got to talk about the 4th down and 1 situation. So Bills are up a point. I thought they were gonna win it. I thought, here we go. Bills are up a point. They can go down the field, make it an 8-point game. They probably go for 2, just try and ice it right there. It's a 4th down and 1. They hurry up to go for a quarterback sneak. It kind of looks like they get it. It's initially ruled they're stopped. On the replay, it kind of looks like they got it, but I don't think I can say definitively that they got it. That's kind of where I come down on, is I think he probably got the 1st down, but I don't think there's an angle that you can definitively say. I don't know what you thought, but that was my take on it.
I mean, this is the thing, is like, you can't see it at the end of the day. That's why the call wasn't overturned. It looks like it's a 1st down. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, I think Gene Steratore said it. Oh, a third of the ball looked like it was over the 1st down marker. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Like, if we're measuring a third of the, like, if we're going to measure a third of the ball by our perception off a replay, then at that point, just put chips in the ball to say measure 1st downs, Like, if that's what we're worried about, then just put chips in the ball and say this is a 1st down or it's not. Like, if we're doing this, there's no way the human eye from a side, like everyone wants to look for an angle to blame blame the refs for the Chiefs, right? That's probably what we're looking at with this, and it is controversial because it looked like a first down off our replay eyesight, and everyone wants to blame the referees for the Chiefs, but there is just no way the human element of a referee looking from the sideline, 20 yards to the middle of the field is going to make that judgment call. It's impossible. It's just really impossible. So it's tough. I don't know. It looked like a first down, but at the same time, it was also close enough that it left it up for debate. And if we're gonna debate a third of the football over the first down marker, then put chips in the ball and just say we're measuring this by computers now.
The other thing too is like that's kind of a risky run with a quarterback sneak, right? Is like it's going to be hard to tell. Like you're not going to get the doubt replay wise, and I feel like usually the refs are kind of more likely to call a stop in those situations if it's close, especially on a fourth down. If they call a stop, then they can get to replay, so they kind of will more likely to call it. You have to really get it at a certain point. I mean, you got to credit the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was even like Tony Romo called it, where he's like, "Oh, they're timing the snap count." That's what they're doing so well. The Bills then try and trick them by doing a dummy count, and the Chiefs are all over that. Like they don't even. We got to give credit to Kansas City for how well they did in that situation.
They're just so well coached. Like, yeah. I don't even think Spagnuolo called his like perfect game or anything like that.
That's it. I got it. Wait, I got the plan. Fire McDermott, hire Spagnuolo. You're taking away one of the Chiefs' benefits, and you're getting some. That's the plan. That's
pretty funny. The funny thing about this game is like Spagnuolo didn't even call the perfect game, and I was watching it with a buddy who's a Chiefs fan. He's a Chiefs and Yankees and Warriors fan, so he's a special kind of guy.
Okay, nice. But anyway, sure, he has a complicated explanation for that.
Yeah. But anyway, so we were watching this game, and it was just one of those things where it's like I think Allen has seen this defense so many times, he's kind of locked in on like what to prepare for. And it seemed like he had answers for almost everything. But these 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 situations, Buffalo just couldn't win up front. And that was a big part of this regular season and playoffs for Buffalo, is how much this offensive line won up front in a lot of situations. This offensive line was a buzzsaw in the Baltimore game last week. And they just couldn't win one-on-one battles in those big situations. I mean, Chris Jones, I can't wait to see this guy in the Hall of Fame one day. I mean, this guy's just incredible. Every year in and year out, we talked about the Mahomes thing for the three-peat. This guy is unbelievable every time they need him in the playoffs. He just rises to the occasion almost better than any defensive player I've seen. It's unbelievable what he's able to do year in and year out when they get to the playoffs and just be a one-man wrecking crew at these times. And then you have Karlaftis, you have Mike Dana with the big play in this game. All these guys. It's an unbelievable front seven year after year.
Yeah, and it's not – you're right. It's Chris Jones, and then it's really Chris Jones and friends, but it's like all these other guys are still really good. Like Karlaftis is probably the next biggest name, but you're right. They do have so many other players. Chris Jones has like – how many times have we said like he was unbelievable in this game? And then look at his stat line. It's one tackle, no sacks. But it's like that's a stat line for this, and it wasn't even a solo tackle. But it's like he was great.
Yeah, I mean, what did he even end up with this game? Was it something like that?
That was it. Yeah, it was one tackle that wasn't even a solo tackle, and that's all he made on the stat line.
Yeah, I mean, 2 quarterback hits, though. I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things, like, at the end of the game, they put him out at edge rusher, and he's just dominant out there, and it doesn't matter where you put him. He is one of the most versatile and dominant defensive linemen we've seen in the history of this league. I mean, he's an upper echelon of player. He is a lock for a Hall of Famer, and, I mean, he's unbelievable, and he was unbelievable again in this game, and it just felt like every time they needed a big play, he may not have made the play at the end of the day, but he was involved in making things happen. And it's just so incredible to see him kind of do his work year after year. He deserves his flowers, without a doubt.
Absolutely. No denying that. He's something else. The only reason that he doesn't have more, like, I think, recognition is just because, like, he played in a league with Aaron Donald for most of his career. So, like, you're never going to be the best defensive tackle because of that, but because you're playing against, in someone else at your position is maybe the best to ever play the sport, but still, yeah. No, I mean, it's remarkable. Kyle, let's do the guess the EPA for Patrick Mahomes. Total EPA.
Oh, 10?
Yeah, 12? Double. 20.3.
Wow.
Yeah. No,
Another
I
good
mean, it's one of those things. It's like sometimes like a basketball player, they'll make a basket and like, oh, that's 30 points, and you're like, really? Like I feel like I barely noticed them. That was the kind of day Mahomes had, where it was just
yeah.
death by these small plays. He had some really nice runs in here. Including a key 4th down and 1 early on. Andy Reid doesn't love to go for those, but they were down 14-10 in their own territory, 4th down and 1. They decided to keep it with Mahomes, and it works out. The great overlap 618 is in the chat. Will the Eagles beat the Chiefs? Philly will keep giving Saquon the ball and not stop it like the Bills did to Cook. This is overlap the mod. Go Eagles. No.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 weeks to talk about it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk ourselves out of this. I do think that's another thing with the Bills. So another one too, like Joe Brady did a fantastic job this season. Great offensive coordinator. I think the big thing that he preached with this Bills team is diversity of touches. He wanted everybody involved in this offense, and that was the strength of it. Is you didn't know who was getting the ball on any certain play. However, didn't you just feel like every Ty Johnson touch in this game was a waste of time? Like,
yeah. I mean, he had
it's just
James Cook had twice as many yards per carry as Johnson did. Cook was at 6.5. He was at 3.2.
yeah, it just felt like sooner or later, like you just have to get your dudes involved, right? Like that
Mhm.
was my big criticism, like too, as far as he goes. As we put a bow on the Bills situation from this game, it's just like sooner or later, like you have to just say these are my guys. My guys are Kincaid, Shakir, and Cook, and I'm just gonna
Yeah.
work with those guys and Josh Allen, and then we'll go from there. And it just felt like they were still too busy trying to spray the ball. Now, granted, Matt Collins had like the 2 biggest plays in this game and all that, but like
Mhm.
sooner or later, you got to say these are my guys, and I'm gonna ride or die with them. And it just felt like the Bills didn't have those guys they felt really comfortable riding or dying with.
And you know what I didn't love either? 3rd down and 10 before the 4th down and 5 that they didn't convert. It's all out pressure, and they go with the screen pass to Amari Cooper. I don't. Why not throw one down the field?
5 yards, like I don't know what
Yeah.
that does for you. Like, why not even try for the first down? You should have space over the middle when a team blitzes 7.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting game overall. I do think Buffalo did a lot of things right, but at the end of the day, it's 1 or 2 plays wrong. But we have to talk
Yeah.
about Patrick Mahomes of all of this. I
Yes.
mean, we gave
We keep going back to the Bills. But yes. Go ahead.
so yeah, Patrick Mahomes, he making the Super Bowl again. I mean, he's on the verge of his 4th Super Bowl, his 3rd in a row. This wasn't I think when these 2 teams played last year, I called it the greatest game he ever played. Despite not being like as statistically significant as like a guy who's had like 500-yard passing days and 4 or 5 touchdown days. I thought the last game he played was the best game he ever played against the Bills in the playoffs. This was a very, very good game, though.
Yeah.
I don't think it was quite as good as that because he did have a turnover in this game. Whether it was his fault or not, I don't know. I mean, it was a weird fumble situation. But he was, I mean, that's the big thing. Like, we talk about this Chiefs team. This is the first time all year they scored 30 points. Like, this is the first time all season they scored 30 points.
The Bills scored 29. Chiefs haven't scored 30 all year, and this is the one time they do it.
Yeah, and it's just unbelievable. And it's like this guy, he just knows exactly what he needs to do, it feels like, at all times. And even watching that final drive after they don't convert the 4th down and Kincaid drops the pass, and it's like the Bills have 2 chances to get stops in this game and maybe get the ball back one more time and go for it. And he just converts it. And it's like, it's Samaje Perine going to get it's like
what a move.
He's gonna have those plays. And another unbelievable game for an unbelievable player. And I mean, he's going down as one of the greatest players of all time for a reason. I mean, he's still not even hit his 30s, and he's considered one of the greatest players to ever play this game. I mean, it's an unbelievable statement.
As a Patriots fan, you're holding on to that one of, right?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, like it's gonna sound biased for me, and I am biased. Like, I am biased in this conversation. It's fine. I'll admit to it. The GOAT conversations are kind of dumb to begin with. Like the issue I've always had with GOAT conversations, and granted, the GOAT conversation is largely stemmed if LeBron and Jordan, I think, has been the real GOAT debate. And like, if you're a tennis person, it's like Djokovic, Federer, Nadal sort of thing. And I'm a Federer guy, I'm a Brady guy, all that kind of thing. The issue I have with the GOAT debates with all that is viewed as disrespectful to be considered as the second greatest player of all time in the
Yeah.
sport. And that's the issue I have with it. But like at the same time, like, yeah, I mean, he has to be in that tier. I mean, this is unprecedented situations he's in. And this wasn't his statistically greatest season, and a lot of that has to do with a lot of injuries they've dealt with throughout the season. But it just felt like it was another one of those things where it's like Mahomes is inevitable. Like, yeah, he had some big runs in this game and some clutch runs, but like they also had whatever they wanted on the outside in this game. And it just felt like over and over again, Mahomes had answers for whatever Buffalo was trying to do defensively. Like we said, Buffalo went man in this game. This is something we wanted from
Yeah.
Buffalo for all of this time, was to go man against these Kansas City receivers. They went man to man. Kelsey was a big non-factor in this
Yeah.
game outside of one or two catches. And he still had all the solutions. He had all the answers to the test before it even was given to him. So it's just,
Juju Smith-Schuster was their second leading receiver.
yeah. I mean, Xavier Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster
Yeah.
led this thing. It's just like he's just like, oh, okay, you're gonna take Kelsey away from me, then I'm gonna have three other options ready to go, and that includes my legs, which were a huge part of the red zone offense.
Yeah. Couple of super chats. First, Overlap 618 saying, any Chiefs fans in the next 2 weeks will be banded indefinitely. This is Overlap the mod. May God help you. Another super chat saying, what should Washington do to bounce back from the loss? We'll talk about it more when we get to that section. But I mean, I think obviously the big thing is work on the defense, which was an issue all year. But I mean,
Work on
they're
the defense and go get Tyreek Hill. That's my solution.
ooh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, and we'll get more into it later on in the video. But yeah, I mean the Chiefs, Kyle, this is unbelievable. I mean, this is now tied for the best 3-year stretch in NFL history. The Patriots went to 3 straight Super Bowls, 1, 2, but no team has won 3 straight. The Chiefs could be the first, and again, we're all going to root for the Eagles next in 2 weeks. That's what we do when there's a dynasty team. I won't be mad to see the Chiefs win. It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's an amazing thing to see on the end of the day. Like, yes, is some of it annoying? Yes, I get it. Some of the like people want to blame the officiating, where some of the calls like crazy. Yes, I think so, but at the same time, I'm not blaming the officials for anything that happened in this game. I'm not blaming the officials for anything in the Chiefs dynasty. Like, they go out and win games. They go out and execute. Like they are so in sync with what they do. I mean, people did the same thing with the Patriots all those years at the end of the day. Well, whether I didn't agree with it at the time because I was biased, and I was also, I think the Patriots did the same thing that the Chiefs did. But like, what great teams don't do? Commit penalties in big games. They don't turn over the ball in big games, even though the Chiefs did turn over the ball in this game. They just do things smarter and better than everybody else. That was the amazing thing about the Brady Belichick era for me. And it's the same thing for the Reid and Mahomes era. Like, yeah, if you don't commit penalties, you don't turn the ball over, and you also are amazing at what you do, you're going to win a lot of football games, especially in these big games. I mean, the amazing thing with this Chiefs thing just overall is, like, we talk about this so many times throughout the season. They have not played a close game. They have not played like a multi-score game, is what I was trying to say, throughout the season. Like, they've just continually done the same thing over and over again, where they out-executed these teams at the end of these games to win. And they just keep doing it. Like, there's no solution to it. They keep winning these close games in ways that just doesn't seem fathomable. And like, is it coaching? Is it execution? Is it Mahomes? I mean, it's probably a combination of all of it, but like, they keep doing it.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Again, Patrick Mahomes, so this is his 7th year in the league. This will now be his 5th I'm gonna math. Yeah, this is now his 5th Super Bowl, and they've won 3 of them, could win 4 of them. That's ridiculous.
That being said, go Birds. Yeah. No.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're all going to root for the Eagles. How can we not? But it's Kyle. It might be a little tough during my. I always do the trailers before the Super Bowl preview show. It might be a little tough to come up with people that are like disrespecting the Chiefs this season. Not a lot of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's impossible. But
the Chiefs have beaten every team they played this season.
That they have. Yeah.
Yeah. because they lost to the Broncos and the Bills, and then they beat both of those teams as well. So yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. And again, sports need a villain. Ratings aren't going to be as good. I think like on this channel, definitely I would have liked to see the Bills sneak in there. Would have gotten some better numbers, but that's the funniest thing about like this whole the NFL wants the Chiefs to win. Like Kansas City doesn't do great ratings. Like they do good ratings because they play in a lot of big games. Like that's not like a huge market. Like San Francisco, sure, like they do good ratings. They should rig it for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how crazy would it be if Buffalo actually ever made the Super Bowl? But yeah, I mean, it is one of those things. But like, yeah, I mean, they continue to do the great stuff, and they do it better than everybody else. And I think it really just comes down to they do the great things by doing the little things, and they continue to do it. Like they ran the ball well in this game. The Mahomes and Hunt factor on the ground in this game, like, and then like Kareem Hunt has been the guy all playoffs, and then the two biggest plays of the game, they go Isaiah Pacheco and Samaje Perine. Like,
Yeah.
who does that? Who does that in these situations? Like,
Yeah.
who puts Samaje Perine on the biggest play of the game, hoping to get a first down?
It's
crazy.
It's ridiculous. It is the most ridiculous thing. The way like again, first overlap 618 says, can some defensive coordinator please scheme a plan to stop the Mahomes roll to the right run play for the love of God? Yeah, that's one of those things that feels like it should be stoppable and it just isn't.
But what's the solution? Like you can't account for the back and Mahomes unless you're just prepared for it, and that's part of the reason why it's so great. It's great because you're not prepared for it. Yeah, you're not prepared for the rollout. Like, yeah, that's the part that makes it great.
Yeah, I don't know. Feels like again, you're right. It's just one of those weird things that it just feels like it should be stoppable and just isn't. Overlap 618 again says, "Shut up, Jackson. The Swiftie fans are out in full force. This is Overlap. You have been reported fake news, and I won't stand for it." Okay, Overlap wants to ban me now. Again, I'm just gonna before we get to the other game, just reading off the receivers who had a catch in this game. Xavier Worthy, who was a second round pick, right? Or was late first round pick, but most people had second round grade on him. Juju Smith-Schuster, who's got cut from the Patriots because he couldn't make the team there. Hollywood Brown, who's okay, he's a solid player. Travis Kelce, Samaje Perine, Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kareem Hunt. Those are that's this receiving core. Kyle, Chiefs first team in NFL history. Since I did that, chart a while back. So the past 15 years, first team to make the Super Bowl with a below average PFF grade receiving core.
Yeah. I mean, and not only that, they've done all of this basically without their best receiver for the majority of the season. So, like, I mean, imagine if Rashee Rice is in this team.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty remarkable where they're at. So, yeah. Want to get into the other game?
I feel like we have to, but yeah, I mean this Chiefs thing does feel so pretty. It feels so historical at the moment. Like, you have to give it its credit. You have to give Mahomes its credit. You have to give Andy Reid his credit. You have to give Steve Spagnuolo his credit. Chris Jones his credit. I mean, there's so many guys I think deserve credit for this situation and what they're in, and they continue to do it week after week, season after season. It's unbelievable. And yeah, I mean, the big thing is just like, this team just finds weakness within any team, right? Mm-hmm. And they just find a way to exploit any weakness. They bump Chris Jones out onto the edge. They're going to blitz these tackles, and Chris Jones is just going to dominate in the edge. They're going to go at guys like DeMar Hamlin in the secondary and say, we're going to win those battles one-on-one. They're going to go out the outside, and like, they hadn't played well this season, but you're still like, you know what? Rasul Douglas is a good football player. You think he can win on the outside. He's not winning against Xavier Worthy in this game, and it just didn't happen. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just like they managed to do everything. They managed to do the little things better than everybody else, which makes them great. That's the amazing thing about the Chiefs. And it was the amazing thing about the Patriots. It was the amazing thing about the 90s Cowboys, the Steelers in the years past, all that kind of stuff. It just continues to be one of the most amazing things about this franchise.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Let's move on, Kyle. One more game to talk about. the balls have stopped bouncing. The Philadelphia Eagles put up 55 in the conference championship game. There was a couple moments when it looked like the Commanders had a chance. I think actually, really, the point where this game turned, it was competitive at the end of the half. It was about around 2 minutes left. It's a 4th down and 5, kind of in no man's land. The Eagles decide to go for it. If they don't get it, they're only up 2 points, and the Commanders would have great field position, probably end the half with the lead. Instead, AJ Brown beats Marshawn Lattimore for a big completion. They ultimately. Why are you giggling?
Did AJ Brown beat Marshawn Lattimore? I felt like that happened a lot.
Yes, that was. I got criticism last week when I said that he hasn't been playing well this year. People were like, "Oh, classic Bucks fan hating on Lattimore." I'm like, I guess the stat was against the Lions, he didn't give up a catch, but like, he didn't play well in that game. He just didn't give up
Good
a catch.
job.
Like that's so. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he had a rough day. He also got a personal foul call a little bit later on. So, although really probably should have been offsetting, but nonetheless, I mean, this was that was a part of it. I got the sidetracked. That play, though, the Eagles were able to score a touchdown. They then get a fumble on the kickoff, which they've done it twice this postseason. They end up scoring another touchdown, and really, I mean, that was kind of the beginning of the end for Washington.
I mean, look, the end of the day, this game very much felt like, I think we said it on Wednesday, if any quarterback needed to play like Superman in their game for their team to win, it was Jaden Daniels in this game against the Eagles. Like, this was a very much a talent discrepancy game, but the quarterback was the big differentiating factor. And the Commanders had one job in this game: not make mistakes and put the ball in Jaden Daniels' hands and a chance to win. And they didn't just do that. They didn't. I mean, it just came down. They didn't do the situation. They didn't get any semblance of stops. They made plenty of mistakes. And yeah, I mean, that pick at the end of the game, I don't even think Jaden Daniels played his best game, but like, he was the best player on this team for the Commanders still. Like he didn't even play his best game, and it wasn't enough because everybody else in this team, it felt like it let him down. And like, it just felt like it was two different class of opponents. It was a great story for the Balls. They made a huge run this season. It was so fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, it feels so interesting because like, everyone references that rookie quarterbacks in the end of the conference championship game stat or whatever it was, like 0-6 or whatever before this, and now it's 0-7. And it felt like so much like a lot of those teams were like great teams built around cheap young quarterbacks. And this one felt like the exact opposite, where it was a great young quarterback with a team that wasn't ready to be in this situation around him. And yeah, I mean, it just, they couldn't get a stop. They just, I mean, they gave up 55 points for a reason.
Yeah. No, it was, I mean, absolutely. Let's start with the Eagles. All right. Well, no, we can, I don't know. You're right. We should start with the Commanders, I suppose. This is just one of those things where it feels like, hey, like, if you told the Commanders heading into this season they were going to make the conference championship game, they'd absolutely say, sign me up for it. Obviously, you have the star quarterback. I don't hate the idea of getting another receiver. I think they have some pieces in the receiving core. Terry McLaurin had a great play in this one. How many years is Zach Ertz still going to play? I can't believe Zach Ertz is still this good. I thought he was like, oh, okay. Like when he left the Philadelphia, I'm like, okay, that's it. He's 34. He's still great, but how many years do you have left? I don't hate that. We have a super chat that says ban to Tush Push. We'll get into that for sure. But yeah, I mean, you have the quarterback. They tried the Marshawn Lattimore move. I think the hope is that he's just gonna like be healthier next year and that'll be okay. But that's a weird thing. What do you do with that? Like Lattimore just didn't look good this season, and part of that was getting thrown into the fire. But still, the biggest thing they need is defensive help right now.
Yeah, I mean they still need several defensive starters. Like if you bring back Luvu and Wagner and that, like it is like that will help. I mean, this was an interesting team because like they definitely like went for it to a certain extent this season. They got a veteran coach. They added 13 starters in the offseason. Like they very much said like this is our rookie quarterback. We're going to go for it. And I was impressed with that. But this team still feels like it's 1 or 2 cycles away. And that's fine. Like this was a beat expectations kind of season. And then like going forward, like you hope guys like Johnny Newton get better. You hope some of these young guys get better. You add a few more starters around them, and then hope for the best. But yeah, I mean, this defense was not very good throughout the season, and they played one of the best teams in football. So it wasn't a shock to see him kind of struggle in this game. So yeah, I mean, it really kind of came down to that. The big thing is like they got to get some pass rush, man. Like I know the secondary hasn't been good either, but like you hope a guy like Lattimore will bounce back. Maybe the safeties get better behind him, and that'll help as well. But like you can't go through these games without any sort of pressure, right? And like they blew it up before they drafted Daniels, right? And that was probably the right move at the time. But like, how much would like Montez Sweat and Chase Young be impactful for this team? like
Yeah.
those guys would have been very impactful for this team. It felt like, but yeah, it's a really tough situation. That like at the time it was the right move to blow it up, but like now you need guys like Chase Young and Montez Sweat on this team that really feel like they make the difference.
Yeah, I mean, you have currently you're set to have 87 million in cap space. You could also clear another 18 million if you cut Marshawn Lattimore. That might be something they look into, or maybe they just say like, "Hey, we don't want to cut you. Do you want to just rework a deal? Make it work." I don't know.
I wouldn't
I
give up
mean,
on him. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I think
but would you
he's
pay him for
like,
18 million?
I mean, like he played like he played one
Yeah.
regular season game with this team this season. Like I
Hmm.
think you have to bet on him bouncing back. Like
Yeah.
if you rework the deal, I get it. But like I still think there's a good player over there, even though I think he's kind of a punk. He's annoying. He's really
Yes.
annoying. He's not someone I want to root for, but at the same time, like I still think there is a good player in there. And it's really hard to criticize him when he played one regular season game and you're throwing him into the playoffs. Look, the playoffs are the best teams in the league. That's who you're playing week after week after week. And with basically no reps throughout the season with this team, he was thrown into the playoffs. So, like, I do feel some sort of sympathy for Marshawn Lattimore in this situation.
Yeah.
I still think there's a semblance of a good player in there. I'm not giving up, even though this was a disaster of a postseason. I would just run it back and, add some pieces around him.
And also like, oh hey, cover Mike Evans one-on-one and then cover AJ Brown one-on-one. It's like, yeah, that's a bit of a tough spot too. It's not gonna just let him be like the number 2 corner as well here,
Yeah.
which maybe was a mistake. I don't know, but again, they were rearranging deck chairs in that Titanic in this game.
Yeah, it's just, the defense had so many issues beyond that. Like, it was just so much. And then not to mention Payne was out in this game. So that was a big piece to it too. Like, yeah, it's just this defense wasn't ready to compete at this level. And, as far as this Washington teams goes, like, I think they could add talent. Like, I do think they should add a guy like Tyreek Hill if he's available in the market, just because, like, you could have the best offense in football with him and McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, what we saw from Jaden Daniels this season. Like, that is legitimately, like, I would probably pick that to be the best offense in the league next year. I would. And I would just do it and then figure out the defense as you go. But, like, everything else, this was a fantastic season. You just ran into a different caliber of opponent. And, I mean, this Philly team is just so fascinating, right? Like, as much as I think they're boring to watch at times, like, they scored 55 in a conference championship game. And
Yeah.
it's just so funny. We were so dismissive of these two teams throughout the season because they like found like difficult ways. They found ways to make us not convinced with them. But like, if you said who were the best two teams in the NFL from December on, it's Philadelphia and Kansas City. And I mean, Philadelphia has gone and made a statement this postseason. I mean, they've just gone and kicked ass against everyone. And this was the biggest dominant performance of the postseason, like in the conference championship. They've just looked fantastic. This defense looks fantastic. Jalen Hurts played probably his best game of the season, maybe. And like all of that put together, you have Saquon in the backfield. Like there's a lot of reasons to love. Like if you're looking at like Super Bowl picks, there's a lot of reasons to love Philly in this matchup. And it just comes down to this defense is absolutely dominant, man. It's so good. This front four is a menace. They have pieces in the secondary. Like they have all the pieces to win a Super Bowl. So why aren't we saying this team's a runaway favorite for the Super Bowl?
Well, because they're playing the Chiefs, and we've all every time we pick against the Chiefs that we look stupid. That's the reason. But I mean, you're absolutely right that they will have massive advantages. And you think about the defensive line potentially going up against the Chiefs' offensive line, which actually played really well against Buffalo, I thought, save for a play or two. But I mean, the defensive line again is incredible, and it's everything. I mean, you saw with Jaden Daniels, it's just like there's not guys to throw the ball. Like, what are you supposed to do? There's pressure constantly, so that you can't get out and run. It's really impressive stuff what this Eagles defense can do. I think it's a much better Eagles defense than it was 2 years ago. I think that's kind of the thing you look at as the biggest plus. I mean, what else can be said about that hasn't been said? It's incredible, and they're also not afraid to mix things up. I mean, you saw like early on, Vic Fangio's like, oh, okay, man coverage working. Let's do some man here. Like, they're well coached. Again, paying defensive coordinators big money can work out. Also, getting depth, paying attention to that stuff, and they've kind of been lucky with injuries. Although they did get some offensive line injuries in this game, but defensively they've been on the luckier side compared to like Detroit. So yeah, I mean, as a whole, it's a remarkable unit.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. And I mean, we'll see what it looks like in 2 weeks. Obviously, get healthy, all that kind of stuff. But like, you just continue to look at this front four, and it's like Jalen Carter didn't even have his best game of the season this year or anything like that. But it's like Jordan Davis comes up with a big play in this game. Like, Milton Williams is involved. I mean, it's just like over and over again. We see this front four. They're so good up front that they can drop 7 into coverage and it's no problem. And even if you even if you try and run on this team against this front four and win, you have Zach Bond in the middle of the field who's just turned into Brian Urlacher 2.0. Like, they've just continued to turn in these guys into all. It's just an unbelievable defensive unit. Like, every one of these, they have a huge roster advantage over Kansas City. And they had a huge roster advantage over Washington. This is the most complete team in the league, man. Like, you just look at this defense. Several of these guys will start in Kansas City, and that's not even getting to the offense, too, which has best offensive line in the league. Like, they just have such a matchup advantage one-on-one, and they just continue to look like they could be a wrecking crew. So, yeah, I mean, this was an impressive performance of Philadelphia. We're looking forward to this team in the Super Bowl. They can absolutely go and win it, but, we look at it, and it's a league that we've continued to say that coaching and quarterback matters, and that's where they have their disadvantage for sure. And as good as Vic Fangio has been, we're going to trust Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes over Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, and we'll see how it goes, but Jalen Hurts looked damn good in this game, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. The offensive line did get banged up in this game. They get the bye week. We'll see how they play. Obviously, if anyone can go, but like that's a bit of an issue potentially with Chris Jones that you're going to have to play. Like that's could be tough. Kyle, how have we not talked about the MVP candidate, Saquon Barkley, who just sets the tone right away with a 60-yarder, ends up with, weirdly, they didn't give him the ball a ton. He had 15 carries in this game. I thought he was maybe hurt because like they weren't giving him the ball. They did give him the ball later. He ends up with 3 touchdowns as well. Kenneth Gainwell in this game, he got hurt, and then Will Shipley broke off a big run to help them get over the 50-point mark. But it's that thing, right? Of they run the ball so effectively. They even have these designed quarterback runs, which can be very effective. Overall, Hurts's numbers are rushing were just 10 for 16 yards, but it felt like he was better than that. I know some of those are.
Yeah.
I
mean, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. Like,
yeah, I guess that helps when 3 of them get stopped by the goal line. Because the tush pushes is part of what factors that in. But yeah. I mean, and then you have the thing too where it's like, okay, let's stop the run. Well, now you have to cover AJ Brown one-on-one, who I don't care who you are. We can blame Latimer all we want. Like, AJ Brown's going to beat even the best corners.
Yeah, I mean, they have every option out there. That's the thing that we have to look at. And I mean, this Saquon thing is so fascinating because you added this offense was really good, and I think that was the thing that was so interesting about Philadelphia last year when everyone was so like kind of upset with the team. And granted, they went into the playoffs without AJ Brown, and that was a huge factor to why they lost at Tampa Bay, right? AJ Brown wasn't out there. He's a huge part of this offense because you have to respect him. You can't play man-to-man defense on the outside because he is so good out there. And that was a huge reason why Tampa Bay won, because he wasn't out there, and they just said, you know what, we're stopping the line of scrimmage. But not only bringing back Angie Brown now that he's healthy, and then adding Saquon Barkley to the fold, it's just such a huge dynamic for all these teams to deal with, because we know you still can't leave one-on-one AJ Brown because he's going to win that matchup more times than not. But then also Saquon Barkley is in the backfield, and it becomes such a problem for all these teams to deal with. And, Washington got a couple stops in this game, but like, it wasn't enough to really kind of solve that equation. And we haven't seen a defense really solve that equation this season. Will Steve Spagnuolo have the answers? Maybe. But like, Saquon Barkley in this offense is just such a cheat code, because you can't overload on him, because they have those two dynamic receivers on the outside with Brown and Devontae Smith as the second guy. And it's going to be really fascinating to see how Kansas City matches up with that.
Yeah. Overlap 618 says, who matches up better, Philly or the Bills against the Chiefs? I thought the Bills matched up pretty well. Like, I was expecting this pass rush to do well, and it just didn't. And then I was expecting the Bills receivers depth wise to be able to win, and that didn't. I still think there are matchup advantages. I mean, again, it's just the Chiefs have the matchup advantage where it matters. They have the quarterback, and like and I don't think the Chiefs, and it's not like Washington where it's like they have the quarterback, but they don't have anything else. Like, the Chiefs have enough other stuff that, again, they're going to be favored. They deserve to be favored. But I definitely do think that the Eagles have a chance here. If you're a Chiefs hater, don't lose hope just yet.
Yeah. I mean, to answer the question, I think Philly matches up better because Philadelphia is a better team. But will it matter? We'll see. I mean,
I'll say this too. Just think about it. We saw the Chiefs stop the tush push over and over again with Buffalo. I mean, that could be interesting. Who's going to win that?
Yeah. Well, they haven't seen Jalen Hurts squat yet, so we'll see.
Right.
But look, it's such a fascinating. Vic Fangio is we talk about Steve Spagnuolo, and Steve Spagnuolo might be the best defensive coordinator in the league.
Mm-hmm.
If he is, though, Vic Fangio is number 2. And as you said in this game, they struggled at times, but at the same time, he's like, okay, we'll just go to man-to-man, and it worked. And while it didn't work for Buffalo, Philadelphia has Quinyon Mitchell, Darian Slay, Reed Blankenship, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cooper DeJean, all these guys in the secondary that are just better than Buffalo's guys this season. They are. Yeah. And they have more speed to account for guys like Xavier Worthy. So, yes, Mahomes is great, but in theory, if Philadelphia does decide to go man-to-man with like Blankenship over the top or something like that, the Eagles have more solutions to the Chiefs than Buffalo does. So, there's a whole lot of elements to it. We'll see how it plays out. But, I think Philadelphia is more talented, honestly. I really do think that. But, it's just going to come down to, can you account for Mahomes and can you stop Mahomes? We'll see.
Yeah, I know these teams aren't the same as they were 2 years ago. The Chiefs' defense and the Eagles' offense aren't that different, and the Eagles' offense was great in that game. Now that Mahomes was great and was able to ultimately outscore them. Will it happen again? You could easily talk yourself into an Eagles victory. But Kyle, we're getting a bit sidetracked. We haven't talked about this game that much. We're already getting ready to preview the Super Bowl. One other thing I wanted to bring up: there was kind of this crazy sequence where. That's a couple more things I want to bring up. There's this crazy sequence where the Eagles, or Frankie Louvu times the snap count on a 3rd down and 5. He times it. He gets through. He gets this big stop. The Eagles have to punt the ball away, only up 11 points. Then there was this weird play where Kyle. Nothing drives me crazier than on one of those plays where the ball is going over the end zone and someone steps over the goal line and then knocks it back in. Why does that ever happen? You think that's the one thing, you have to make sure you don't step over the goal line. The Commanders get the ball. They're down 11 late in the 3rd quarter. If they can score, this is very much a ball game. Austin Eckler catches the pass, falls down, and then gets right back up, and then Oren Burks knocks the ball loose. Again, that's the backup linebacker making that play for the Eagles, who's played great. But that was a huge play too. The Commanders had chances in this one.
Yeah, they had several 10 chances, right? They cut this game to 14-12 at one point. And then even if they couldn't get the stop, McNichols fumbles the kickoff return, like, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
that turns from a 14-12 game to 27-12 game in like 5 plays, or what
Yeah.
was it? Like, yeah, I mean, it was something like that, but like, it's just
And
like
even before that fumble, it was an 8-point game. Like, if even if you don't score, like, go to the half down 8, like, that's possible. Like, they did get a stop out of the break. So, like, yeah,
like
it's tough.
yeah, it just turned into that thing where it's like you just had to put the ball in Jaden Daniels' hands and hope you didn't make mistakes on the out anywhere else. And the rest of the guys just couldn't do it in this game. McNichols with the big fumble, they had a fumble earlier in the game, and then obviously the Austin Eckler fumble, like over and over again. It just seemed like the other guys just let him down, and that was the frustrating part because like I said, I don't think Daniels played his best game, and unfortunately, he had to be Superman in order to win this game or even have a shot at winning. And they didn't even give him an opportunity to be Superman because like
Yeah.
it was over before he even got the ball in his hands with a chance.
Yeah. Kyle, let's pick up the last point I want to bring up in this game. Super chat can get us into it. If you can't jump onto linemen to block punts, you shouldn't be able to tush push. Yeah, some people, the ban to tush push movement has come out in full force, but it's going to be legal in 2 weeks, whether you like it or dislike it. Kyle, there's a very funny sequence in this where we got a palpably unfair act citing in this, where, again, what happened was it's the Eagles have the ball at the 2-yard line on a 2nd down and goal. They're saying, we're just going to push until we score a touchdown. The Commanders are basically saying, well, we can't stop you straight up, but maybe we can time the snap count, and we're just going to keep trying to time the snap count until like we either get a stop or don't, because the penalty is only a little bit anyway. So the refs had to come in and say, hey, if you time the snap count, if you do this again, we're going to award the other team a touchdown, which is not something that's officially in the rules, but the palpably unfair act means that if there's a unique situation like that where you feel a team is kind of bending the rules, you're allowed to step in and not allow it to happen, which is what the refs did there. That was a wild sequence.
Yeah. I don't know the solution to it. Like they've already changed it to where, what is it now? You have to be a yard behind the ball carrier or something before you the snap, before you can push him or whatever. So like,
I have a solution that no one would like. I just think ban QB sneaks altogether. It's
ban
a boring
QB
play.
sneaks?
Yeah, I don't want to see I don't want to see it. It's a boring play. I want to see a running back take it or passing play. Like, QB sneaks are boring.
Yeah.
You can have a QB draw if you want. That's fun.
Like from the shotgun or something.
Yeah. You can, if your quarterback can't run, you can't do the quarterback sneak. That's it.
I get it. I don't know. Like everything feels imperfect because it feels like it's punishing one team for being better at it than everybody else. That's the problem. That's the problem I have with it. But they are, but at the same time, they're not. Like this is a part of the team's identity, whether we like it or not. Like, I don't know.
What if we say like in 3 years it's banned?
Yeah, maybe.
Give you a chance to adjust.
Yeah. Do you think putting Hurts in the shotgun would change all that much?
No, I don't. I don't think I think that the Eagles would still be a really good team at converting 4th down and 1s. I don't think it's again, this is where the roughing the passer things become Mahomes issues. 4th and 1s become Jalen Hurts issues. I'm not saying that we need to stop the Eagles from being able to convert it. I'm just saying I don't like watching it, period. And whenever you ban a play, it's gonna hurt some team and help some other team. I mean, it helped the Colts one day, started calling more pass interference penalties, right? Another 06 Colts
I'm
reference.
Aware.
Yes. So that's how football, that's how changing the sport works. It's going to help some teams and hurt some other teams. I don't hate the idea of doing it on a delay, but yeah.
But that's the point. Like the Colts are a loser franchise. Why would you want to benefit the Colts? And that's the same situation. Like, why would you want to benefit a team for not being able to have a solution to it?
We have when I was a couple of chats real quick before you can get mad at the Colts more. When I was younger, 4th and 1 used to be exciting. I miss Fred Jackson and Steve Johnson. I mean, again, I just think I get it that it's something that they do a lot, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a valid enough reason to stop it.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a no-win situation because we don't want to watch it, but at the same time, like it feels like we're just punishing the Eagles for being better at this than everybody else, and that's the issue that we're running into. But yeah, I don't know the best situation for that. Um, and like I said, like you don't want to like illegal contact is the dumb rule because the Colts complain about it. Like that's why we don't like the rule. It's not because like it's a valid rule or anything like that, but because a team complained about it. That's why we have it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is I think you could say like you can also ban the tush push itself. Like you can say like a player can't push the quarterback from behind on a quarterback sneak. Like that wouldn't be that
Well,
hard
that's the
to
weird
ban.
thing because we used to have an aiding the runner the rule.
Yeah, and they don't call that at all. Like, even if you pull a runner, they won't call it.
Yeah, they don't they don't actually enforce the aiding the runner the rule. Like
Yeah.
if you just said that like pushing is included in aiding the runner, then like that probably changes all of this.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If you say quarterbacks, like again, banning the tush push, which is what people are asking for. If you say you can't actually push the quarterback from behind on a quarterback sneak, then it's a 5-yard penalty. Like that, the Eagles are still gonna be really good at quarterback sneaks, but like it's at least like it feels like you have a chance defensively.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that called in years, honestly. I still
Mhm.
remember the iconic I think it was USC Notre Dame play, and that was college football even. But yeah, I mean, that was a push and they changed it to you can't pull the runner, but at the same time, I don't see that called.
Yeah, Kyle, this should be a I don't know. Listen, we all wanted Bills Commanders, right? We all wanted to see a plucky underdog come through, but you know what? I think this still should be a great Super Bowl.
I mean, like I said, if you're gonna say who are the best two teams from December on, you're probably picking these two teams.
Yeah.
And as much as people don't like these two fan bases and these two franchises at this point and all that kind of stuff, like they're good. They're good for a reason, and um, it should be fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm looking forward to seeing these two teams playing elite football at the right time of year, and that's just how the NFL works. Sometimes that's the beauty of the playoffs. If we
Yeah.
didn't want the best two teams throughout the season, then um, we wouldn't have playoffs, and that's what makes this beautiful.
Well, I've always said that we should have a group of people that watch the sport closely. They should determine who makes the playoffs instead of having records do it.
You think so? Yeah, we should have
Yeah.
a committee.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Would the
that would help.
Bengals be in the Super Bowl if we had a committee?
Yeah, because they would be the what? It would be Chiefs versus Bengals. Only two teams make it, and those would be the two.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I hate college football.
We have a super chat. Define rule by pushed behind line of scrimmage. I'm not sure. Do you understand this
He's
one?
saying if you push the guy behind the line of scrimmage, if it's in front of the line of scrimmage, he's saying that's allowed.
Okay. Yeah, but Kyle, what a season. I'll be honest, rough season, underwhelming season, but you know what? Still football's fun.
I think it's a C plus season. That's fair.
Yeah, yeah, but
But
C plus football is still better than like A plus any other sport for me.
that's your opinion, but that's fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just giving my opinion. I mean, yeah, I think with the exception of the years that my teams have won the Stanley Cup, 'cause that's the only other sport that my team has won. I would say usually even a season like this for football, I get more. I was pumped up for this Chiefs Bills game. Like I feel like all week.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it was a great game.
Hmm.
Not all those years the Rays won the World Series. You weren't excited for
Okay. All
those?
right. Okay. Got. Yeah. Thanks for that, Kyle.
No, I mean no, it's been great. It's been a fun season. We've had some compelling games. We've had some compelling dramas. But yeah, I mean it's just I don't think it's been the best NFL season, but I do think we got the best two teams at the end of the day playing at the best time of year. So
Yeah.
they've been playing the best ball throughout the end of the season. Yes, we would have liked to see a Detroit or Buffalo maybe from earlier in the year, but that's why Super Bowls aren't decided in October. Like that's why we have to play the whole year.
Yeah, I've always said this too. You need villains. You need villains in sports. It's not as fun if the teams that we all like, are playing each other. It's just not. We think it is, and then that happens, and then it's like, this is like Rams Bengals. Like that's not a Super Bowl we talk about, and it was a great game. It came down to the wire. Like that just completely passed by because there were two likable teams and 1-1.
Yeah. So this is two dislikable teams though. So we have no one to root for.
And last year was awesome. Last year was great. The Niners Chiefs was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, gun to your head right now, who would you pick?
I'm not betting against the Chiefs. I'm just not doing it, Kyle. I'm gonna in a week and a half I'm gonna pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. It's just I'm locking it in.
Oh, already ahead of it. There you go.
I think so. Well, listen, I'm gonna go through it, and I'm sure I'm gonna find a bunch of reasons to pick the the Chiefs to lose, because there are reasons. Like I think this is very much. I was hoping for the Bills to win, because then I could in the pick'em show, then I would have a much better chance with the points. But like, yeah, I mean, I pretty much said going into this, whoever wins, Chiefs or Bills, I'm picking to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it checks out. I did gain a point on you this week for the pick'em, so
you did. So yeah, it's going to come down to the Super Bowl. People in the chat, do people not find the Bengals likable? At least in 2020, they were 2021, they were very likable.
I think they were at the time. I think less now, but.
Why not? What's dislikable about the Bengals? I don't know. They're fun. They throw the ball a lot.
They've talked a bunch of crap, I guess. I don't know. People are weird. I don't know. That's my determination. People don't like fun. Like,
yes.
At the end of the day, like, Mahomes is a little weird sometimes, but at the same time, like, this Chiefs team is fun too.
Yeah.
This Eagles team's fun.
I'll have a hot take to end the show. I think if the Chiefs didn't have a Super Bowl, they would be like one of the most liked teams in the league.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think it's because they don't have this. I mean, again, I was just curious. I went back and I looked at some of the comments on my video when the Chiefs first won the Super Bowl with Mahomes, and it was all like, "Oh, can't feel happier for him." Like, well, what a like. It's all like positive, nice comments, and now it's like, oh, someone earlier in the chat said this Super Bowl is Hitler versus Stalin.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I saw Brady throw a dot in a 3-piece suit today. You think he can? You think he can come back one more time?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Do you think the Eagles? Would the Eagles do that? I think so.
You think he can go to like the Vikings, win the Super Bowl there?
That's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on. So someone's saying Jackson thinks Vontae's perfect. No, that Bengals team was unlikable. I'm saying the Joe Burrow Bengals. Those are two different teams.
Two different entities, yeah.
I'm not saying the Bengals' entire history is likable. I'm saying the 2021 Cincinnati Bengals were likable.
To be fair, Drew followed it up with Stalin was good though, so I question his judgment on a lot of things.
Yeah, all right. Interesting.
Maybe read a little more into that history book you got.
Yes. All right. Well, Kyle, that's a way to end the show, I suppose. Let them know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Stalin was not good. That should be the headline of this show.
Yes, I'll change the title. We are anti-Stalin and anti-Hitler on this podcast.
Wow. Bold.
Make sure to follow us.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Grondin. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK at On the Sideline JK. I can't get over that. That is so funny.
If you like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, it should be available. Yeah. That is Kyle, that is our show. We should probably end this before our chat gets too off the rails here. Kyle is barely making it through here. Super Bowl football fun.
Football is fun.
We're not getting monetized for the show. This is not happening.
Let's get out of here.
Okay. Thank you to most of you in the chat, and thank you to everybody who is watching or listening after the fact. We do appreciate it.
Dennis brings up a good point. Show Wednesday. Typically, we don't do a show Wednesday, right? We do a Sunday off-season pod, and then Wednesday we do the preview, right? Or do we do Wednesday still?
No, usually what we do is we do Wednesday or a recap. Then we do that we predict who's going to win Super Bowl MVP on Sunday. And then Wednesday is off-season recap, not football recap. We're talking about coaching hirings, all the stuff that we missed in the last month because we've talked about because we've talked about football during this time. So yeah, Wednesday we're going to do our full off-season recap. We're going to talk about all the coaching hirings, anything that's changed across the NFL outside of the NFL playoffs. Sunday we're picking our team players most likely to win Super Bowl MVP, and then the following Wednesday
we're doing our full Super Bowl preview. So that's an whole hour on just the Super Bowl. We're talking about both the teams, both sides of the ball. That's one of our most in-depth shows of the year.
Yes, we leave no stone unturned here previewing the Super Bowl. So we'll be back Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern is when we will be going over this. As Kyle looks at his dog. Kyle, on Sunday next week, do you want to do 9 p.m.?
9 p.m. works. Let's do it.
Okay, 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. We'll be and I just gonna say this too. Every year that we've done our predicting who's gonna win Super Bowl MVP, nailed it each time. Never once in our top 20 picks, never once missed.
Of the 20 players we named, one of them was one Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, even the year Cooper Kupp, we picked him too.
Yeah, somehow he made the list.
I think I could double check. I'm pretty sure one of us had Mahomes last year.
I think that's a fair guess.
I think he did. I double check that and get back to it. Kyle, all right, that's finally our show. How do we go long on a show with only 2 games?
We too busy talking about Joseph Stalin, bro.
I think so. I think that was it. Again, thank you, everybody. We do appreciate it. We'll be back Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Until then, have a good one.
Peace.